Hey there, viewers. My name is Brad. I'm the Harley Davidson Wizard. Today I have something a little bit different. A few weeks ago, this setup has been sitting around for a couple of weeks, but I was working on a good customer's bike of ours, Paul, and the rear head gasket was leaking oil. And it was a weird situation. This is a T-Man performance kit that we did quite a few years back, and he's at a lot of mileage on it, but everything looks good wear-wise, but it was leaking oil from the rear head gasket. And I found this unusual lip here where the liner, see if the camera will focus, where the liner is separated from the cylinder. These are stock 110 cylinders that have been bored slightly over to the high compression pistons that we used on this T-Man kit. You can see the front cylinder, well, if it focuses, it doesn't have the lip. And when I was looking at it, bring you over here to the head gasket. When I popped the head gasket off, you can see this wear indicator, or this indication of wear. This outer edge is the edge of the liner where it came up and is kind of where it's making contact with the gasket there. And right here you can see, hopefully it comes through and focuses, but right here you can see where it intersects the main oil drain, and that's where it was leaking oil. Actually, sorry, it was this side. Let me double check that. Fits on like so. It's leaking oil there. Yeah, so it was this side where you can tell it was sealing all the way around, but then it had this weird little hiccup in the little sealing angle there because the liner is separated and it's now higher than the rest of the surface of the aluminum. So I was talking with another customer, Gil, that came in. We were looking at this. He planted probably was going to be a bad idea in my mind. He said, man, I wonder how the liner is attached on the inside of the cylinder. And I was thinking the same thing too, because Harley Davidson's given us like information as far as how this liner is like spun inside, and it's supposed to be like a surefire way of being awesome and perfect, but whatever had happened to this one, it isn't. So I came up with probably what's a bad idea. I'm going to use this sawzall and these blades and try to cut through that whole cylinder. So these blades weren't cheap. Obviously I wanted long ones that are long enough so it doesn't catch the end of it and like try to kick back at me. But the idea here, I guess, is going to be to cut through the thinnest area, which I guess is going to be through here and through here. We might as well try the thickest part first, but I want to cut through one side and cut through the other side and kind of like crack it in half, and then hopefully one side will pop off and we'll see the way that the liner is originally like, or the way that I'm assuming that the inner sleeve is made first. That would make sense. And then the liner is cast around it, and there should be like some casting grooves to mate the two together. But figured I'd bring you along and take a look and see if we can hog through this thing and see what it looks like. I don't exactly have like safety gear or high-end safety gear to be doing this, because that's not the type of work that we do at the Harley Davidson dealership, but let's get started. I don't know if you heard, but these Sawzall blades were not cheap. I think I spent $40 on the two packages, but I'm really interested to see what happens. like it's going pretty good. I don't know if you saw that, but there was like so much tension on the steel liner just from like, I don't know, maybe the way it's made or cast in there, that right when we broke through it, it's just sprung open. Crazy. Oh man. Got it. Alright, I'm going to clean up some of this aluminum so it doesn't get in my eye or anything stupid. I'm going to see if I can pound these apart. You can almost see where it's like separated. Right there where there's like a void. It's going to be interesting. It's a little warm too. This is pretty awesome. And there's a little bit of white paint left like down here just from the saw blade, but you can see like these are 110 cylinders like I was talking about before, and they're stock Screaming Eagle 110 cylinders. The only difference about them is that they're cut a little bit differently down here for a kind of like a quad seal or a square cut seal that fits down here at the bottom for the base gasket and the main oil drains, where like a normal 88 or a 103 or a 96 twin cam would have a regular O-ring. But I would imagine that the cylinder construction is the same. You can see like how small you can just by the cross section, like it's narrow. Obviously this part fits down into the engine case, but it gets a little bit wider, and it looks like it gets a little bit wider right there too, like it goes kapow kapow. and then it gets narrower here at the top. I was not expecting that. And over here you can see too, so like how thick it is actually, like in the meat of it, in the meat of the cylinder, how much thicker the steel is. I can't believe that freaking blade went through like that quickly. And those are not new. The batteries that I was using are pretty freaking old. I've had them for probably 4 years now, but that kicked ass. I think that's pretty sweet. Check out the other one. And I might have to cut it in a quarter or a sliver or something. Sorry. But what I'm going to try now is just crudely like hit this with a hammer like that and try to get the steel to like roll out of the aluminum. So we're going to give that a shot and see what happens. Oh, it's starting to come. It's halfway there. Quarter way there. See, we're getting it to separate a little bit. Awesome. There you can see that's the problem. It has a smooth part at the top, a smooth part at the bottom. and it's really just like bonded in the center. Huh. Would not have expected that. I'm going to work a little bit more here and see if I can get the rest of this to kind of chip out, I think. Alright, well, I made a real mess cutting this thing apart, and when I was over in the vise and the whole thing the whole shelving section that it's attached to, I didn't even realize it, but it was vibrating away from the wall and all my shit was falling down behind it. But this is not what I was expecting to see. I guess it kind of is. Here is I would call this like a cross section, so you can kind of see how it fits together, kind of like that. I cut it out as a little wedge, and you can see, so yeah, it looks like it would have to be, right, the steel liner is made, and then the aluminum is poured around it, making the fins and everything. And it's funny, you can kind of see like this roughness. Hopefully that comes into focus. This roughness, and that's like the main engagement to the aluminum of the cylinder itself. And then there's these thin spots that are kind of just barely attached. It really just has like a very fine, come on, focus. It has like a very fine, like, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but fine grooves, like where it's been on a lathe and turned. Super fine there, and you can tell by here, like how it broke off. It wasn't being held on by aluminum at all. You can almost tell, like in the crack, like how wide it is there. And then like where it's actually physically attached is this roughness. And same here at the top, where it has like very fine grooves from like turning, but it's not physically, it doesn't have like a physical grip to it like the center of the liner. I wonder why that is. It's too bad it's not like that, like almost all the way up to the very top, but except for, or actually all the way up to the top. I wonder what the deal with that is. I wonder if it's like the way that it has to go in like the casting to hold, or for the aluminum to be poured in, or something. Let's take a look more over here. Down here you can see like where the spigot, that's definitely the wrong piece, where like the spigot here, what's up?
Hi.
Hello?
Do you know why we're here?
Not at all.
Two things. One.
Alright, I forgot where I was at, but it's interesting to see that the liner is really only affixed here, this 3 inches in the center. Oh, I remember what I was talking about. I was talking about when I called T-Man, he was saying that he believes what happens, and not that this is a very popular situation. This is the 3rd time that I've seen it, and only the first time on stock OEM cylinders. But he thinks that sometimes the oil leaks around this liner here. It leaks in between this drain back hole, because that's how it drains through. You can see there's a hole. Well, it's kind of at an angle, but believe me, the oil drains through this hole from the cylinder head. And that it leaks between there and this little seal. You see it? Or not seal, but this little parting line. I can't tell if it's focusing on there, but it's super narrow. Like there's hardly any material there. He thinks that oil creeps across there and then it's able to weep down and then down along the outside of the liner, and that's what allows the liner to become loose in the cylinder. Because I was thinking that it'd be harder for the liner to come out of here. Like, it's pretty coarse, but you can see it kind of just like it fractured along where I was prying at it, and it looks like it really wasn't that aggressively attached. Just interesting. So I forgot how the pieces fit, but well, there you go. Not that it's probably going to help anybody out, but maybe an oil leaking diagnosis if you run into this crazy, unusual situation where you're able to prove that the liner is stuck up, or definitely, you know, if it's leaking oil, you're looking for why. So that's how I got to looking at the gasket, and then those dual circles in the gasket had me looking at the liner, and then feeling why the liner was sitting up and above the rest of the top of the cylinder. So just crazy stuff, but interesting. So like and subscribe. Thanks.